That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Trade Talk. Today we're here to discuss Black Panther Back to Africa. This is the next volume in the Reginald Hudlin Black Panther run, and it kind of does what I've been wanting. It takes Black Panther back to Africa. Amazing. It's like the title actually has something to do with what happens in the story. So rare. But anyway, you have the situation that was brewing in the For the Hard Way book, and this, there's a whole another volume to pay that off, but whatever. And that comes to a head, and now T'Challa is back on Earth and heading home, and now he has to deal with that situation, and that's, it's causing a problem for him. The situation has escalated. There's the neighboring country of Uganda, and that has completely deteriorated since T'Challa dethroned their dictator who helped support the effort to overthrow Wakanda. Then he also, this is the most context-driven issue of the run, because it's got the stuff from the very beginning, and then it's got consequences for T'Challa taking Cap's side in the Civil War, which is the U.S. government really doesn't like T'Challa now. They haven't liked him since the beginning of the run. But now they feel that they have reason to start, destabilizing and doing things. So they plan to install someone in power in Uganda to act as a distraction to T'Challa, so he's not able to make moves against the U.S. And they install Killmonger, who is a Black Panther villain that T'Challa's never been able to defeat. So Killmonger is not only taking control of this neighboring country to T'Challa, but he's also captured T'Challa's sister. What's her name? It's gonna bother me. Shuri, is it? Yeah, Shuri. Shuri. Anyway, so he's captured her, he's taking control of this neighboring country, and now T'Challa has to deal with all this mess. And he's also captured the current Miss Marvel, who the U.S. sent in when they felt that he was getting out of hand. Interesting. So T'Challa's just got a fucking nightmare to deal with, and also Storm isn't there at the time, which is a problem. Damn it. She's off with the X-Men doing some shit, who knows. Which, is really frustrating because, you got The Bride, which was really good. I really liked The Bride. And then you got For the Hard Way, The Bride, then you had Civil War, where she was actually involved in the story. Then you had For the Hard Way and Little Green Men, where she's actually involved in the story, but doesn't really have much to do with the overarching plot. And now you have Back to Africa with this great cover with Storm on the cover, and she's not in this book. And that's disappointing. She's back with the X-Men. I would have preferred her to be back with the X-Men either during the Civil War stuff or during For the Hard Way stuff, because that doesn't really have much to do with anything in the run. This is a big deal, and I would like her to be by his side in this, because that would be interesting. I like this discussion where, they're discussing how they're going to attack this foreign dictator now who has T'Challa's sister, and they're walking through this hangar of all the stealth equipment that Wakanda has confiscated from people that have tried to invade over the years, and T'Challa's security expert, Wakabi, is sitting there I cannot believe you have me looking through the elephant graveyard of military transport. I'm just glad I didn't let you talk me into junking it like you suggested. It is a piece of junk. I can't believe it even worked. But it did. The mole man almost stole our vibranium right from under our noses. I can't believe you let him go. Come on, Wakabi, he's already the mole man. What more could we do to him? That is a really good burn on the mole man. In any case, this whole situation with his sister, there's a lot. This is a really well-paced book. I'm only 1.5 issues in. I'm already covering a lot of ground with what's happening. Sure, he gets some badass moments, which is kind of cool. Like, the guy sends a bunch of men into her cell to... They're not even being vague about it. It's like, oh, well, we'll see if you get your chance to take a swing at me, or if these guys do. Well, you know. They all rush in there, and she just fucking literally, she's killing that guy. It's not even a contest. She completely destroys them. So anyway, Gundam invades and goes to fight this warmonger guy. Not warmonger. What's his name? That's gonna bug me. I'm saying that all wrong, and I know it. Killmonger. Goes to fight off this Killmonger guy, and they have a machine that burrows underground to get to him, which is kind of a neat idea. And what I really like about this run, this arc in particular, is we're getting back to the whole idea of Wakanda as a player in world politics. We had all these things building up about, oh, well, the West tries to put Wakanda in a check and blah blah blah, and you know that has stuff to do with what's going on in this. But this is also just really fun. You got the Wakandan army fighting mutant alligators, and that's neat. But you have Killmonger, who has promised, I'll give everyone in this country a flat screen TV and all this stuff, and he feigns like he'll give up power if T'Challa just promises to actually do something for this neighboring country, because Wakanda, of course, very conservative nation. It doesn't involve itself with other nations. Even if you win, will you do anything to help the people of Naganda? No. And why not? Because they aren't your tribe. How primitive is that? Killmonger cares. You may not like my swagger, but at least I help people. It's like, you exploit people, there's a difference. So tell me, T'Challa, if I surrender right now, will you promise to turn Naganda into a technological paradise? Share the riches of Wakanda with your neighbors? And T'Challa's like, you put me into... Stop pretending like you're helpless, Killmonger. You are still armed to the teeth. Release the captives now or I attack. How am I supposed to contact now? Conversation. It's like, can't give up the big prize, huh? Okay, I will call your bluff. If Killmonger will not resist arrest and prosecution for his crimes, I will use my resources to help and improve Naganda. So he's putting this, you can't really do that with a lot of other characters. You can't give the whole, oh, well, Superman could use his powers to save the world speech, to solve all the world's problems speech to Superman. You can't do that so many times. It's like, he's one guy. He can't be responsible for literally everything. That is asking too much. That is going too far. But T'Challa is the leader of a nation. He runs a government next to an impoverished and horrific nation to live in, a nation that's been under dictator after dictator. Why hasn't he helped? It's this idea that, oh, he thinks he's superior, he thinks the Wakandans think they're superior, he doesn't care about you. And so yeah, this is actually a place where you can critique him on stuff. And so he's put in this position. He's like, fine, prove you care. I don't know, that's a cool move. But of course, Killmonger fights him, and it turns into a big brawl to see if, like, oh, can he actually win this time? Because he's never defeated Killmonger. Blah 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 blah. The tables of the fight start to turn. There's just a really sad scene that does not need to be here at all. Of like this gorilla that's having experiment, like they find this experimental area where like all this animal testing and stuff's been going on, and they find like a gorilla with all these wires hooked up to its brain, literally its brain like out of its skull, and it can actually talk, and it like looks down at the Wakandan soldiers and goes, "Help me, please. What would you have us do? There's only one way to end the pain. It's like we will do it with mercy." And they just shoot it! Like, goddamn! That's a really dark scene that totally doesn't need to be there. So anyway, T'Challa and Killmonger fight, and there's stuff with the super intelligent baboon. Don't ask. Skrull stuff is coming in. I don't particularly care to talk about that now. The plot element with the cannibal ended in a very underwhelming way that ties in with Secret Invasion, and that disappointed me. So you have the cannibal who was introduced in the first volume, and this is the character that by kissing can jump from body to body and possess them and kill the soul that it's of the body that it's in. And so it started working with the effort Claw did to try to destroy Wakanda. And then when that fell apart, it took it jumped into T'Challa's cousin. And that's a really, really interesting and intriguing plot point. But then during the wedding, people are starting to look at the cousin who had the ability to sense other spirits and realize there's something going on with this guy, so it jumped to someone else and we didn't know who for a while. In this volume, we reveal that it's jumped to some, servant of the court or whatever, and he's, throughout the book, was trying to talk Shuri into kissing him. Shuri wasn't having it. And he's like kind of put in isolation with Brother Voodoo, who's been working to find the cannibal this whole time. And so he goes to try to kill Brother Voodoo. Sorry, disgusting, I know. He goes to try to possess Brother Voodoo, and then it's revealed that Brother Voodoo's been a Skrull this whole time. Crossovers just kill good plot elements. Man, I feel like Hudlin kind of let that one sleep for a while though. Anyway, Killmonger's defeated by Miss Marvel, which is interesting. Like killed by Miss Marvel, and his son swears vengeance on T'Challa for it. And that's pretty much the end of the story. We set up a group that now will is now committed to hating Black Panther. And then we get a single issue called Black to the Future that explains why the Watcher was at Storm and T'Challa's wedding. In this we get like a time jump to years in the future when Storm and T'Challa are not like ruling the world, but are in effect leading the world as a royal couple. They've gotten Wakanda to the point where it enjoys global influence and is not as isolationist as it once was. And they have children together, and T'Challa's not the Black Panther anymore, it's his daughter now. And that's cool. That's just cool. I really like this scene of Storm discussing the history of Wakanda with her son, and they get into slavery, and this is just gorgeous in like a really disgusting way depiction of the process of slavery, and I thought that was really cool to see. And like she's sitting there talking about what history was like, how Africans sold Africans, that whole thing, and how the Wakandan people thought this can't go on. This is going to cause a regional problem long term, which it did. We've got to do something, but we don't invade other countries. We don't tell the world how to live. But if we don't do something, it's going to be an existential threat to Wakanda. So they start sending agents over to America to buy slaves, bring those slaves that were purchased back to Wakanda, and train them as soldiers to undermine slaving operations. That's awesome. Little shadow war with the colonial empires of the slave trade. That's fucking cool. Man, he nailed it there. That is just great idea. But the colonial powers start to catch on that, like, these guys have training that they just shouldn't have. These are, as far as they're concerned, savages. They shouldn't know how to do this. So they beat the information out of them and eventually get just the name Wakanda and decide to declare war on Wakanda and send, like, all these African tribes after Wakanda to try to get them to clear it up for themselves. Kind of completely demolishes them. So then the colonial powers agree to set aside differences, and they'll just invade Wakanda together unless this shit stops. And the Black Panther at the time's like, I cannot fight the whole world. It's just not doable. And that's like a really harsh thing, but it's true. Like, it doesn't matter how great one nation is in any given time in history, it's literally impossible to maintain a state if you are constantly at war with every other nation in the world. If you don't believe me, load up a game of Civ and just immediately declare war on everybody. Let me know how that works out for you. Play on hard. You might be a great player and be able to manage it, but then you are taking over those countries, which in reality means you are conquering, you are ruling over others. And Storm has this great point. I gotta see if I can find it real quick. Storm has this great point in this dialogue she's having with her son. Wakanda is not just a nation, it is a culture. If you sacrifice our values to protect the nation, you have already lost. But why the accommodationist stance? We are a warrior people. A warrior is not a bully. Wakanda could have gone to war with the world. Maybe it would have won, maybe it would have lost. But the very act of attacking all of the major Western powers and their puppet states in Africa would require a ruthlessness that would threaten the moral fiber of the nation. Instead, the decision was made to take a long view, even if it took centuries. The world would eventually recognize the Wakandan way is the correct path, and if not, God bless them, for they would not survive. Why? Because man recognizes good? I don't see many examples of that. A true warrior recognizes all of his strengths, and love is the mightiest weapon of all. And she talks about how African culture and non-violent movements changed the wave of history. Huge disagreement with the non-violent movement parts. Very much in agreement with black culture around the world shaping things. How many times has black media been stolen but changes the world for the better for black artists in the long run anyway. Incredibly fascinating point. And like this idea of take the long view of history, Yeah, that's the typical reply to that is, well, the masses are suffering while you sit on moral platitudes. Importantly here, Wakanda has already taken steps to undermine in acts of violence the colonial attitude. They don't immediately decide to take long-term history. They wait till they are threatened with a war of their own to fight and decide, if we cannot declare war on the world and sit on a moral high horse at that point. As disgusting as it might be to watch, as sad as it might be to see, we have to sit back and let them come to the conclusion we've already reached. And this is talked about early on in the run. T'Challa's father has this conversation when he's invited to an economic conference of basically the 1%, and he says the social and spiritual evolution of the West needs to catch up with its technological capabilities before we as Wakandans feel you are on our playing field. And this is very much what's going on here. I really like that. That's an interesting commentary. I don't 100% agree with it, I'll admit. This is the thing. This is a philosophy that is very appealing for obvious reasons. But that is a political philosophy that's worrisome, that's troublesome, and it is something you have to wonder and think about. And it's asking you to be critical here. That is what Storm's son provides the role of in this issue, and is the critical stance of like, well, you're a warrior nation. You believe in doing the right thing no matter what. Why wouldn't you take that fight? Because if you take a fight to destroy the world, if you take a fight that threatens the world, threatens your nation, you probably don't deserve to have a nation. That's an interesting and intriguing argument about the benefit or the notion of being able to restrain yourself and step to the side no matter how disgusted you are. The right to self-determination in other nations is a thing, and it should on some level be recognized. It's a very intriguing little piece here. There's some more history given about how Wakanda got to the place it did. It all kind of led up in a war with the U.S. Iron Man fought against Wakanda, and T'Challa was ready for him with a Panther Panther Zord, and so they fought, and T'Challa ended up, completely destroying. He was ready for Tony, but unfortunately, he didn't realize how integral Tony was connected to his machine, and so it killed him, and T'Challa felt really bad about it. Yeah, there's some interesting ideas here. And this is all kind of concluded as the Watcher thinking or discussing with the Golden Frogs of King Solomon, and they're like, oh, well, it's only a possible future anyhow. Alright, we should get back home to King Solomon, and they're the Golden Frogs. Interesting idea. Solid issue, arc. I'm just glad that we're back to what feels like the main story. And with only a couple volumes left, 3 it looks like, I'm really worried that we're going to... It looks like the next volume deals with the Skrull stuff, so this might be what we're left with. This might be the spiritual conclusion of the run, which is disappointing. I don't know, this run has had its ups and downs. It's never been bad, I don't want to give that impression, but there are some points at which I'm like, this just got so derailed by comic book continuity stuff that it really lost its, I feel it lost its path at a couple points. But still, it's always been fun to read, if nothing else. Alright, that'll do it for this week's this episode of Trade Talk. Thank you very much for watching. Until next time, see ya.
That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.